welcome back to the Luck Management Podcast. Today we have episode number 57, presented and brought to you by CharmND, with a very special guest, a friend, and someone that I've had just like wonderful talks with, and a great person that I know, Mackenzie Thielen, Kenzie Thielen, Ken's Thielen. Welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks, Carter. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here. As you said, we've had some great talks before, and I know at some of those talks I've also asked to be on the podcast. So happy to be
Uh,
here.
Okay, fair enough. And a little bit of backstory. Kenzie was in the M&A program last year at Notre Dame while I was getting my MSM program at Notre Dame and or MSM degree at Notre Dame, and we became friends through there. And Kenzie, you are right now an MBA student at Notre Dame still. You couldn't leave, huh?
No, I couldn't leave. I needed one more year. So I applied for the 1 year MBA program and got a Forte fellowship,
Oh
and
wow.
I'm really happy to be here. Yeah.
So what is a Forte Fellowship?
That is for female students pursuing their MBA. And so you
Oh
apply
cool.
and they have certain criteria, what are you involved with? What are you involved with outside of just academic work?
Right, right.
And and they grant you some money if they like you. So
That's actually awesome. I mean, the fact Notre Dame does a really good job of like breaking up. If you can't pay for things, there are always these scholarships that you can do, but it actually just pushes you to like try for more things and be like a a better student. Like you want to get more out of it. That's really cool. Um,
yeah, I think I really agree with that. So having people recognize you through fellowships and scholarships makes you want to invest more in the school and in the class and in all of the ways that I connect with my professor. So I'm also a TA, and it just makes it
oh, cool.
a little bit more exciting to want to be involved because it feels like they really want you there and that you're meant to be there and you have all these things. So it helps with investment.
No, that's incredibly special. And I want to walk through kind of your time at the MBA program and talk about some of the comparisons of what we saw from uh, the, a specialized master's program to the MBA world and just what the like campus of Notre Dame is like this year. We'll get into all that. But the first thing I like to be able to do is I have like this little rundown of what I'm trying to build out in this luck management philosophy. And we call it the luck management lifestyle. I call all my listeners the luckies out there. So I look at it and people say, "Oh, what's luck management?" But like I refer to it as like being able to optimize or capitalize on the chance opportunities and the chance events that are put into your life. So you could be put into one moment of your life and you don't know what to do with that, but sometimes you got to just go. Sometimes you got to just make a decision. Sometimes you have to uh, believe in what you're doing, and things will work out. So when luck meets opportunity, that's when the best things happen. And so I just ask that as people continue to maybe realize some of those opportunities in front of them, take advantage of it because you never know how much time you have or how much work it's going to take, but you can get there. And I think we've been blessed in that sense. And I'm sure you've done some luck management in your life.
Oh, absolutely. I loved everything you just said. And I feel like it completely aligns with part of my reason to apply for the 1 year MBA and stick around for one more year, just with everything that lined up and the opportunities that were there and having trust in the process of like what I'm doing and how it'll set me up for success for the rest of my life. Um, Post school and post graduation. Um,
Never leave.
Feel good. Never leave. Well, this year, yeah. So,
I know,
um,
especially with the football team playing as well. It's like I don't want to ever leave.
yeah, yeah. That's one of my highlights of this week, which we can talk to when we
Oh,
get to
the
that.
highlights of the week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is episode 57. I always say this, but like I can't believe I've recorded up to 57 or had on this many guests. And we've done more than that because we've had some other episodes that didn't count as numbers on there. So I think you're officially episode 67. But this there's a couple of cool things about the number 57. So
Okay.
it represents positive energies in the world. So this episode is full of positive energies and good vibes.
I
Um,
love that. I love that.
and if you are seeing the number 57 in different parts of your life, I don't know if you look at the TV and 57 pops up, or you're driving by a neighborhood and 57 on the mailbox. So when you're seeing that number, it sort of signifies that you're on the right path and in terms of like your divine life purpose. So we're flashing 57 all over this episode, and we're on the right path of divine purpose.
All
Um,
right. All right. This is a good episode to be on.
I know this is a transcendental episode. And then episode 57, they also said though there is positive change with the number 57. So if you see that also, maybe make a change something up, eat something different. I don't know, go for a walk on a different path. It'll bring new ideas, new evolutions. So, who would have thought 57 could do that? But you're on a special episode.
Awesome. I couldn't have picked a better episode to be on.
No, no,
That's
and
exactly like everything up my alley.
I love it. Well, and it's always weird. I'm like, how did somebody look at that number and say, yes, divine intervention right there? Don't
Yeah,
understand.
exactly. I wonder that sometimes about like the number 13. So the number 13 being unlucky and then how some other numbers end up being lucky and
Right?
about positive change and transcendental and then it just spreads. People just adopt it.
I don't know. I see 613 on my like clock all the time, and I'm always like, oh no. And it was just 316 here, and I just saw that, and I was like, that's literally the opposite right here.
Do
That's crazy.
you ever look
Um,
at your clock at 11:11?
oh, always make a wish.
Yeah,
Always.
I'm that
Except
person too.
I thought you're supposed to do it in the afternoon. If you do it in the morning, it doesn't count. There's all these rules to like making a wish, and I'm just like, if it's the same two numbers, I'm making a wish.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
That's awesome. So next one we have is a fun fact of the day.
okay.
And this one, I guess it makes sense to me, but also I never thought about it. So humans can't walk in a straight line if they're not looking at something. Like we are actually incapable of walking in a straight line. And when that happens, like the way that they prove that is that when you put a blindfold on somebody, humans will gradually walk in circles. They will literally end up walking in circles because our gravity or our mode of like getting to where we need to go, we don't know. We need to see it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting that instead of just going kind of all over the place or in random directions, it's more of a circle.
Yeah, right? We start to
That's
just
what's so
move in.
surprising to me, is that it's end up being a
Yeah.
circle.
So we just end up just like walking just walking in a circle. Um, but anytime you want to bet on somebody and be like, okay, if you walk in a straight line with your eyes closed, you might be guaranteed to some money. Make a bet with one of your friends.
I'm gonna put that in my back pocket for whenever I want to make a bet with somebody.
Yeah, yeah. Say like you're going against somebody and it's like your final argument, be like, okay, I bet you this.
Yeah.
You in the bag. And then this day in history. So October 1st, happy October, happy Rabbit Rabbit Day. My family always says that. Wishing good luck. But Yosemite National Park was established on this day in 1890. So I have not been to Yosemite before. Have you ever been?
I don't think I've ever been. Mm-mm.
So it's always been a spot that I want to go to. I want to be able to go travel some of the national parks. And just to be able to see the beauty of the great, I guess you don't call that the Midwest, but like, I don't know, the Colorado Rockies and kind of moving up the mountains and everything up there. So beautiful that that park was established. And then the Model T in 1908 was uh, established by the Ford Motor Company. So that kind of started the whole idea of having, cars everywhere. This day, 115 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah, I believe he started the assembly line as well. He created that, and so productivity and efficiency skyrocketed. Is that was that right?
Yeah, yeah. He started the assembly line, and Ford was actually like a crazy person. I don't know if you know anything else about him, but he literally created his own utopia in Brazil called Fordlandia.
What?
And yeah, he did it because there were all the rubber trees there. And so he literally tried to create his own commune, like his whole um, own source of money, buildings, factories. It kind of failed, but still, it was pretty crazy to see him doing that because he wanted to get the rubber from the trees.
Oh my, okay, no, that I did not learn. I did not learn that in history class growing up, but I
Crazy.
that is insane. But people who can be really successful and, come up with ideas like the assembly line have other ideas, huge out there ideas. So it kind of makes sense to me too.
I mean, hey, at one point I'm like, thank you for the assembly line because it's given us so many beautiful things and we have wonderful stuff. But I'm also like, you could have just chilled, bro. We didn't have to work so hard all the time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Someone's got to do it.
It's also it's crazy now to me to think about how logical something like the assembly line is now that we have it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to see how that would be so productive, and that's how things should be put together and the specialization at each very specific step of the process.
Yeah,
But for years before that, I mean, hundreds and thousands of years, it was like one person doing the whole thing or just a couple people putting together a whole part. I mean,
right.
and thinking about the innovation there, I mean, truly thinking about a whole different system, like trying to come up with an entirely different structure and way to do things is just, it kind of blows my mind because it's something that feels really simple, but it was revolutionary. So,
I think that at the same time too. I always think though too, did he start that? Did he commercialize it? Wh- Like, how did we not do that? How do we build the pyramids and not have some sort of assembly line at the end of the day?
I know.
Um, but
Wow. The pyramids are crazy. Yeah.
aliens, it's all
Aliens.
aliens. It's their power generators underneath there. They they go down actually all the way down to the Earth's core. Don't even get me started on
Oh my
it.
God. Yeah. I kind of
um,
want to, but I won't.
oh, hey, if you're a conspiracy person, we can start delving into some theories and ideas here.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm with you on the pyramids being built by aliens. I mean, I think there's something to that.
There's something going on there because like they didn't even have wheels when they were building the pyramids back then. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense.
No, there was no physical way that that is possible with the technology they had available.
Right? And there's dead zones now when you fly over it and things like that. And I I'm like, hey, let's take down one pyramid, see what's kind of going on around there. No one's gonna let us do that, but like there's a few other ones. Like let those sit. Let's go really figure out what this is all about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Do you have any other conspiracies?
Other conspiracies, some conspiracies are just like bad ones. And this might be a hot take, and I hope you don't mind it, but I think that COVID was like created by the Chinese and like all that stuff, and like it was it was like plotted to kind of wipe out a lot of economic growth, but not to get down a rabbit hole of too many things, but I
Okay.
actually think it was a way of getting Trump out of office. I'll cut this part.
Okay.
That's one conspiracy.
At some point, we will have to talk more about that. It doesn't have to be now, but I'm curious because I tend to lean more towards they were definitely doing experimentation and adapting these diseases to be much more
Right.
deadly and much more serious. Um, Sometimes I lean towards human incompetence. So
Right.
like
And maybe not so much of a
I
we're
think
doing this. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's like they had intentions or to use, diseases as a form of warfare and like in a form like there is, those nefarious intentions behind it at some point, but I also think human incompetence gets mixed up in there too,
Yeah.
you know? But and things go wrong because it's if you're dealing with something that deadly and one tiny thing goes wrong, like one thing goes wrong, it's I
Yeah.
mean horrible. Like I kind of Chernobyl, like they were dealing with this really powerful, nuclear energy center, and because it was run poorly and because there's a
Yeah.
lot of issues with the Russian government and how to actually do things effectively and safely, it went terribly wrong. But anyways, we can also cut
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
part too.
I
But I
digress.
would love to
No, no.
actually talk about it because if you have more information, yeah, I don't know.
You know what? It's actually like it's not a bad thing to talk about. Like at one point, the way that I look at it overall, like or hate Trump, like the way that the America was kind of working was he was like, all right, we're gonna put these huge tariffs on China. We're also gonna just put these huge tariffs all around the world, and we're gonna start doing everything American. And I think that that push and being like, hey, you guys are going to have to now pay 35%, 40% on everything.
Hmm.
I think that they're like, okay, we need to get somebody else in office. We're about a year out from the elections coming in. And we have, I'm not saying like Biden is great to the Chinese government, but he has a lot more connections to the Chinese government and like there's other people that have been involved in his administration that have stayed connected to that. So I was like, okay, there's a little bit more connection there. And having a little bit more of not a lot of people like Trump, so you could find a way to scapegoat him a little bit more that could actually stick. So that's the way that I saw it. But have you seen that in terms of the Chernobyl side? Have you seen that HBO documentary or not documentary, but the show?
Yeah, I have. It's really good. It's very well done.
I think that they do a wonderful job. It's just like sad to watch though. I'm just like,
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. It it sucks you in, but in a very kind of depressing way because of course we know what happens and how serious it was and how people were affected, and now still to this day people can barely go in there without still having that radiation poisoning, right? And all the fish are contaminated and the water and all of that. But um, it's so interesting to see where that came from and even how an event like Chernobyl has affected how everyone feels about nuclear energy now. And even
yeah,
though people can handle it and we have, I mean more in the American way. I guess I can't speak to, how every other country handles it, although I'm sure because of that there still is a lot of innovation
yeah.
that's taking place in third world countries too. But there's really, really safe ways um, to go about, having nuclear energy and how clean nuclear energy is. But
But
how
people don't like
Chernobyl
to.
has affected,
Yeah.
everyone's mindset. Like I know even the first time I've heard about, not now, but the first time I ever heard about nuclear energy, like my instant thought was like, that's dangerous. like,
Right? Nuclear bombs, nuclear energy. You're just like, okay, yeah. You think of Chernobyl, or you think of Fukushima, the one out in Japan that meltdown. How about
yes.
that? And and yes, maybe one disaster can wipe out everything, but it's done and it's powered people's lives for like 100 years. I don't know. It's like give and take, right?
And it's extremely clean. So,
Ayo, this episode is sponsored and brought to you by Charm ND. Charm ND specializes in creating unique and authentic sterling silver vials and real items from around the Notre Dame campus. Each charm is carefully handmade and contains a little piece of the Fighting Irish spirit. Vials filled with dirt from the iconic main quad, pellets from the hollowed ground of the Notre Dame football stadium, wood shavings from the seats of the stadium, 24 karat golds from the Notre Dame football helmets, water from the serene St. Joseph's Lake, candle wax from the peaceful grotto, water from the Notre Dame reflecting pond, and holy water for added blessings. Charms are priced at between $20 and $30 and can be customized to your needs as a necklace or a lucky charm. Check us out at charm_ND at Instagram. Our charms are a perfect gift for any Notre Dame fan or alum. So go Charm ND and go Irish. Now let's get back to the show.
I mean, we're in kind of that cross section where, like, I am very into, green energy and more sustainable
Are you?
solutions for the world. And, um, we need innovative ways to reach that because, as our world progresses forward, we're going to need more energy, right? I mean, we want
Yeah.
developing countries to have more access to energy. It's just needs to be clean energy, right? We need to transition
Mhm.
from, the energy that does unfortunately contribute very negatively, has a lot of negative externalities, um,
Mhm.
to clean energy. And I'm more of a fan of nuclear energy and looking at the um,
The bigger
learning
picture.
about some of the safer options with that. I know that there's been um, they have these domes built around the nuclear energy centers, and they can fly. I forget what type of plane it is, but they can fly a plane at full speed into the side of this dome, and it's like untouchable. It doesn't break.
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. It's pretty
Dang.
cool. It's pretty cool.
You ever seen the Simpsons movie where they put the dome over everybody, or over like Springville because it's like a nuclear wasteland? I'm like, I didn't know they had domes over it.
Yeah, that's one of the safety measures that they have in place. So, of course, people can't, if
Yeah, go
whatever
go.
that horrible situation happens, that's one of them. They have others as well. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, um,
No, still.
but yeah,
I
it's pretty
mean,
cool.
are you are you one of those people that is more into uh, electric vehicles in that sort of realm? What are your thoughts there, and maybe even greater on Elon Musk?
Um, Elon Musk, interesting, interesting. I
Interesting.
think I think electric vehicles are I have mixed feelings about them. Um, it's something that to get certain things, so to get the cobalt these for the batteries needed in them, as well as in
Bad.
our iPhones, as in any of our electrical products, there's a lot of human rights violations at the bottom of that supply chain for processing those like natural resources that we need. Um,
Right.
and so it feels a little disconnected when, we in America, we're trying to do something green and we want, these flashy, cool electric vehicles, and
Only
then they're like,
Tesla. Yeah.
these are so green and awesome and good for good for the planet and good for the world, and it feels disconnected from some of those other um, what's happening at the bottom of that supply chain with pretty much um, kids mining for it and in these horrible conditions with and it's making them sick and stuff. So there's a little bit of I have some mixed feelings about it. I don't, but I don't have a solution for it either. So
Exactly. It's
I
like
don't.
it's like small little bits of progression is good, but what does the other alternative look like? And we look at those minds that they have. It is crazy to see the hundreds of people or thousands of people that are not be. It's kind of reminds me of like the old blood diamond trade, which has definitely is still going on today, but it's subsided some. But just like seeing that, a lot less regulation, and every single chip, every single car, every single laptop, everything that I'm looking at right now, my phone, my laptop, all of it needs
Yeah.
this, or it needs the lithium, or they need the cobalt. And I'm like, dang, okay, we need to figure out something there. I I like Elon Musk for the fact that he's like a dreamer and he's trying to think of these things that can create a solution. So hopefully it like he creates the model so that other people can build on that model, right? I think
Right.
that's the ultimate point. Um,
Yeah.
I do
Absolutely.
think he's a weirdo though. Like I
Yeah.
think he's an absolute crazy person.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, crazy people are crazy enough to, change the world. Not only can they think they do it, but they actually do it.
actually do it, right?
But that
Yeah.
means they're crazy in a lot of ways as well.
We're all a bit crazy. Come
Yeah.
on.
Oh, yes, I am a little bit as well. But no, I think your point about, somebody has to do it first, and they're not going to do it perfectly. Like we live in this world with that's so complicated and it's all interconnected and everything. So your point about, he's doing it first and having, and trying to like lay out this model and
Yeah.
this way of doing it. Someone else, hopefully, I mean that, that's the goal of innovation, but hopefully someone else can take that model and then make it better, right?
Yeah.
And it's not perfect. Like we'd love to snap our fingers and make the world a perfect place overnight, but I think really the only way to do it is to take steps and to recognize where we're better, where we need to be better, and and keep going, and keep innovating because we're not there, but we need cool ideas and new ways to do things and to make the world, a better place. So
I agree.
yeah.
I got two things. So,
Okay.
you got any cool ideas? You want to drop any big ideas on the podcast right now? No.
I
Say-
do. I do. Someday, like I'd hope to have my own company. I know I'm interested in impact investing as well. So
Cool.
that's a lot of the impact investing right now going on, and I've been able to connect with a lot of Notre Dame alum to talk about it, and because they're working in that space. It has a lot right now, a lot of focus on affordable housing and building
Good.
building what is needed in the market, but is either rental properties, super low, or very, very high, very expensive, very large houses. And so there needs to be more kind of in that middle to lower income, just kind of depending either if you're, new in the workforce and you're not making six figures, but you still need a place to live. If you're just 22, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or you're a single mom, or, maybe you didn't finish high school, but you can work at a restaurant, you need that anyways. So
And
there's a lot
yeah,
going
well,
on
no,
within the affordable housing space for impact investing right now. But
I
yeah.
think at one point though, it's like where you have Notre Dame, right? And you have Eddy
Mhm.
Street, and you have these amazing homes going in, and you have these amazing apartments, which no doubt they are worth what you're asking for. That, but that just boosts all the other prices around it because people want to move or get a little bit closer, or just the value of the land. Oh, a Trader Joe's went in. Everyone and their mother wants to go to the Trader Joe's. And so people are building another home around there. And population, I know that there's a lot of talk about population is actually going to be falling in the future, and that's an issue, but like we are still on a steady path, and so there are more people, and we need to be able to get homes, especially with rising costs, inflation, all that stuff. So, I mean, I think that's a very good cause to kind of be looking at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have been able to get involved a little bit with some of the nonprofits here in South Bend that are working with the homeless population, and they're trying to, of course, work on getting people into, stable long-term housing that are facing homelessness. But
Yeah.
man, learning about Section 8 housing, and how that government program, I mean, I don't want to say it's not sustainable, because it is nice to think of housing as, a necessity and as a right, but they the way that these vouchers are administered and then cut off without any warning. So
Really.
there's hundreds of people on this lottery system wait list for these housing vouchers, and then not every landlord will take them. And it's a hard system. So I think I optimistically, I hope that there's other people, and I've talked to them, so there are people, interested in trying to solve this problem from more of an impact investing type of standpoint, um, and getting housing where where there's a need. But yeah.
You don't need that much space at the end of the day. You ever see those like little tiny homes? Like that's all you need. Like
Yeah,
my
those are
apartment's like
cool.
700 square feet, and I got everything I need.
Yeah,
So
yeah, people in Chicago and people in New York, like, they're all stacked on top of each other and they love it. So I mean,
right, let's
totally
find a little
doable.
bit more space.
Yeah.
Build. Do we build up or do we build out?
Yeah,
Or
exactly. Yeah.
all right, we've digressed a little bit.
Yep. Yep.
But we'll bring it back here. I'd love to understand what your highs of the week were. Just some positive things that happened for you this week.
Positive things? Okay. Well, positive, yesterday, um, watched the Notre Dame game, and within the
Go Irish.
last few seconds of the game, last
My
minute of
heart.
the game, Sam Hartman drives the team down, scores a touchdown, converts like a fourth down and
And
17.
16. Oh my gosh, it was
Oh
the
my, we
craziest
were
play.
watching out at the Bart Brothers. Everyone was going crazy. That was the momentum turner. I can't tell you, I was almost ready to call the game. I still had
Oh,
that
good
emotional
thing you
hangover
didn't.
from OSU, and I was like, this is not good. This is worse than not good. Um,
I'm getting gray hair. Like I'm gonna tell you what.
they
I
are
am
giving me great.
stressed.
Well, but that is my high. That was an amazing win that it felt needed after OSU too. Oh my gosh, but it's probably my
Uh,
high of the week.
all right, this might take up the rest of the podcast. That game was infuriating while also being like we were better. We were the better team. I wanted us to like really come back and win. I thought we would come out and win by like 2, 3 touchdowns initially because I'm like
Mhm.
Notre Dame's gonna be angry. Notre Dame should really recognize that this loss was something that was in our hands. They didn't beat us, and like now we need to show up.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
then
we
I
beat
figured out
ourselves.
we beat ourselves. I can't even talk about it like that loss anymore. So
Okay,
it's
move on. This is only positive energy on this.
right, all the good vibes, the positive energies. But when we came into Duke, I think it really proved that Duke has a pretty good football team, and their old coach, like their coach right now, used to be a Notre Dame guy. So it's always good to see their program doing well. And at the same point, Sam Hartman has he came here to be a leader, and that's what he's done. And
He's absolutely done that. Yes.
he's a beautiful human being. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, I wish I could grow a beard like him. I just simply can't. Um, and like the way that he converted that 4th and 16, and then Estime, who wasn't really doing anything all day, just like breaks through and scores that touchdown, 2-point conversion. I was at the bar, and it was an LSU bar, and so they're all yelling about Brian Kelly, and I'm like, thank God we got rid of Brian Kelly because he moved over, and I'm like, Freeman's got this, but the ending and just the way that it happened, I lose years of my life watching Notre Dame football, but
Oh,
it's
I
worth it.
easily lost a couple of years at the OSU game. That was the highest highs and the lowest lows. That game was intense. And to watch it in the student section where everyone
I can
was dialed up to 1,000, it was one of the most fun games I've ever been able to watch in person, and crushing and crushing. but but Duke, it was needed. I'm
We're
feeling
back.
good about the rest of the season. I'm feeling good about the rest of the season. I'm feeling optimistic even going into play USC. I am. I'm feeling
I like
optimistic
it.
about it.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we have a big game next week at Louisville, or Louisville, as people like to say.
Oh,
Um, that game, they're top 25 now. They're undefeated too. So that another big game. And then I told you I think I'm gonna be out in South Bend for USC. So got a lot of friends from the MSM program, and also a bunch of friends from, I think, the MSA, or yeah, MSBA is coming out, the accounting program. I think that there's going to be a lot of people coming back, so we should all get together for that.
Oh, absolutely. I've heard there's a ton of people coming back for USC. So that'll be a great game to be at.
Yeah, and if it's good weather too, I mean, it's been a 99 to like 105 every single day here in Houston. It's crazy. Not fun.
Not fun.
No.
It's been almost perfect here. It really has been.
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
letting me know. No, well, hopefully I get some of the fall weather coming through, and because it'll be a couple weeks, so hopefully you get a little bit of like seasonal changes right there. I think it'll be nice. But those are great highs for the. I mean, highs for the week. Was there anything else, just like through school or anything? Are you anything good on that front?
School's been great. I mean, a high, of course, is my ability really in the conversations that I've had with the alumni. So I've been spending a lot of time in the this fall trying to network and connect with people who are involved with and working in kind of that space that I want to work in, which has some of that social impact,
Yeah.
intersection there going on there. And it's very cool being able to look through the Notre Dame alum and seeing how involved they really are and all of the really cool things that so many different alumni are doing. And it's as easy as reaching out on LinkedIn, and I've truly been able to connect with almost every person that I've reached out to. And they're so happy to talk to me and to share their knowledge
Yeah.
and their experience and what they're doing. I mean, I've been able to talk to alum who are creating their own software that can actually measure this stuff, this stuff and the impact that
Really?
investments have. And I've been able to connect with alum who have had a long career in venture capital and what they want to do, and it's it's just been really cool. So that's, I guess, another high of my week. I was able to connect with a couple people this week. Someone reached out and said he'll be in town tomorrow and was willing to meet with me and kind of tell me all the
Yeah.
ins and outs and all the ropes. So that's probably another high of mine. But classes are going great as well. I'm in Frontlines in America, and
Oh,
as we
cool.
come up, so this week, I believe on Saturday, this upcoming week, we get to fly out to LA and we get to work with Homeboy Industries on a consulting project. So a
Bad.
new they're starting a new venture, um, and they really want us to go out and evaluate the market and find revenue streams, figure out what's going to make them profitable, what's going to make them, differentiated in the market, um, who's going to be interested in working with them, find revenue
Yeah.
streams, and figure that out. So it's really cool, getting to
Special.
be invest with that. I'm excited to go out there and see what they're all about.
Ayo, today's luck management episode is brought to you by Charm ND, or Charmed, if you'd like to call it, whatever you want to call it. It could be whatever you'd like. So Charm ND is an idea I came up with, and I'm super passionate about it. I've always wanted to hold a piece of Notre Dame in my hand. Highly customizable to whatever you want. And they have the grotto. They have the reflecting pond water from Hesburgh Library. They have 24 karat gold flakes, the dirt from Main Quad. They have stadium seat shavings from the old seats of Notre Dame, the Notre Dame Stadium football pellets of the enjoyed and loved football team. And if you want to make one customizable, I'm happy to work with you. Go Irish and go Charm ND. Now let's get back to the show.
It's cool. Yeah, I love that like week consulting like experiments, but also experiences, right? You're getting to see how a business works, and you're hopping into something that you actually value, I think, from your time of being in the M&A program. So it's like a melding of the two, right? Like
Yeah,
you're putting it into
it's
practice.
it's a perfect melding of the two. I love it. I couldn't be more excited to go out there and see. I mean, I've never been to LA,
No?
and
Oh, okay. You
yes,
about to go to Hollywood?
yes, I'll get to see the Hollywood sign. And we'll get to meet Father Greg. So, for anyone who's listening, Father Greg started Homeboy Industries, and he has got the most amazing story. He gave a commencement speech, at the graduation, and it brought me to tears. And he is this priest, and so he's lived an amazing life. He's done really cool things, and I just would recommend anyone who's interested to go look him up.
Yeah, I haven't met Father Greg or know Father Greg, so I'm gonna look him up. That's awesome. I'm writing it down so I can, Greg Boyle?
Yeah, yes.
He kind of looks like Santa Claus. We were talking about the
A little bit,
costumes.
yeah. Another tie into the show.
Homeboy Industries. Okay, cool. I'll check him out later. No, that's special. And the fact that you talked about the alumni network, it's the bingo card of the Luck Management podcast. I swear to God, the way that one way of living the Luck Management lifestyle is connecting with your network and connecting with the people around you. And this week, I was just on LinkedIn. I was looking at a couple clean energy companies, and someone from Notre Dame just like reached out to me and saw like, oh, we saw you looked at our profile. Like, I went to Notre Dame. You want to have a chat? Like, out of nowhere, they will come up to you, and I'm not looking for anything. I'm just trying to like learn a little bit more or like apply it to my business. And to see that happen and people just want to help, it makes you want to help. And it knows you know that you want to give back in the future for that. I see it outside of school too. So it doesn't end once you leave school.
Yeah, that's so good to hear. That doesn't end when you leave school, and I think makes you feel very special, like you're connected to something special too, you know? And all of these, you know, being Notre Dame means something, right? Like once you're in the club, you're in and
I know, it's
you're in
awesome.
for life. And I just couldn't be, I'm so proud. Yeah, I'm so proud.
It's like the
So,
best kept secret in the world. It's like, hey,
yeah,
it's like, hey,
yeah.
I'm a fan of Notre Dame. I know exactly. We have the same feeling on that. That's awesome. Um, I guess my highs of the week, also the Notre Dame win. Um, I had some good workouts, and yesterday I went out to this one place called St. Arnold's Brewery, which was first time I'd been there. But it was built like a church, and they were doing Oktoberfest out there. So I'm German, and I've been to Oktoberfest in Munich, and it was such a fun time when I was out there with good friends and everything. And it just brought back a couple good memories. It just brought back like there's nothing better than just seeing people in lederhosens and the dirndls that women wear, and it's just like jolly German music. It's fun. So that was good.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
All right. Next we have one thing I learned this week. I guess we kind of highlighted that just on everything that we talked about, but I guess my one thing I learned this week, sometimes balancing in life is is hard, right? I
Mm-hmm.
have this podcast and I have like this side business, Charm ND, that I do, and then I work. And I think maybe I didn't learn it, but you continue to learn it each time, each day. And there's like this call to action of okay, where you're spending your time is like where your thoughts and things are going to be going. And sometimes I struggle with balance or time management and stuff like that. And so maybe I could flip it over to you. How do you deal with like time management? Are you very schedule oriented? Are you always making lists? How do you make sure that you keep up with all the things that you?
Oh, that's a good question because I do think I can get better in this area of time management. I work great under the pressure of procrastination, which isn't good.
Yep,
I
yep. So
do.
do I.
My efficiency and my productivity skyrocket when I have a very close deadline. But but I do a lot. I mean, I am a busy person and I'm not someone who just like doesn't get things done either.
Right.
So I do a lot of lists.
Yeah.
My laptop is filled with like those sticky notes, and I've got lists of different things that I need to do when I need to do them. And so I've got subjects for homework, I've got subjects for personal, you know, I've got lists of personal things I need to do. I've got lists for this is what I'm going to do on Monday, this is what I'm going to do on Tuesday, this is what I'm doing on
Yeah.
Wednesday, and I kind of have all of those things. And so if I if I don't have it written down somewhere like that, and I often write them in multiple places so I don't accidentally miss them.
Hmm.
Um, but if I don't have it written down, it's gonna be likely that it slips from my mind and I might not do it. So
Right.
lists are pretty big on how I kind of keep track of all of that.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm a list guy too. There's nothing like crossing off something on the list. It's like,
crossing out something feels good. Deleting it from the list
just like, yep.
weighs me down. I mean, when you've got like 12 things on one list and then you get down to like that last one. Anyway, it feels good. It does feel good. So that's probably how I handle it.
Big
Um,
list. Yeah, yeah.
big list, a lot of calendar reminders as well.
I know. I got tons of alarms that are going off at all the times
I,
on my phone.
yes, I do too.
You're like,
If
what
I
is that
do
for? It's
yeah.
6:30.
I do a lot of timers, I do a lot of calendar reminders, a lot of alarms, and a lot of lists. So basically anything that's going to bring it back to my attention to do it, then that's kind of how I keep track of all my time
Yeah.
management.
So essentially, if we're in public, everybody hates us. Like,
Yeah.
why is this going off right now? Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, good. good thing. Did you have one thing you learned this week?
Ooh, you know what I learned this week is that Chat GPT-4 is much better than Chat GTP, Chat
It
GPT.
is a tongue
Wow, I'm
twister.
sorry. Whoa, I cannot say that's a tongue twister. It's better than Chat GPT-3. There we go. Ended up getting it
Oh,
out.
isn't there like a 3.5 version or something? Like they have all these different versions. You just used the new one, and what's the difference there?
It's much much better. So I had been only using the one that's free. So I think that's either 3 or 3.5. There are a lot of versions out there, so it gets a little tricky to
Yeah.
figure out exactly which one is which. Um and that one's honestly it's okay. Um but it can't do math problems, right? So if you try to give it some sort of finance problem, there's a lot of errors in it. If
Yeah.
you try to give
Hey,
it
hey, don't
some of
incriminate
the
yourself.
yeah, if you want it to write a line of, R programming code or SQL, like something that that I've heard that it's supposed to be really good at, the 3.1 will still make some errors or it'll write it in a really long weird way. um and you want it to summarize something, you put in a few ideas, you're like, write this out, or don't write this in more than 10 sentences, and it won't really do that. um
Yeah.
so going to Chat GPT-4, it is a lot better at all of those things. I mean, it sounds a lot more like a person. Like it can actually um articulate certain things. It runs math problems pretty well, which
Mhm.
is a little scary. Um but cool, but
So,
in like the best way. It's very cool. Um
so in terms
and
of
so it's
last
definitely worth
year,
paying for.
so in terms of last year to this year,
Mhm.
last year there was a bit of, hey, we don't know if we're ready to adopt this at Notre Dame. Has there been any shift this year? Is there more adoption towards it? Is there more acceptance? Is there more regulation? What is the sentiment there now that it is becoming like a part of daily life?
Yeah, I think from what I've seen from the professors I've interacted with and the classes that I've been in, there is a little bit more of acceptance. So they even
Mhm.
have some assignments where they're like, specifically use ChatGPT for this, use an AI software for this, see what it gives, give them these prompts. Like, you have to give me what prompt you gave it, you have to tell me what you think of this. And then it also asks for your feedback on the prompt or things like that, right? In marketing, it was, given a few of the branding ideas that you have, use AI to ask you and give you a list of other ideas. Where can you expand? And then use that list with your team to do something with it, right? Like, where do you think the holes are? How to work with it. So there's definitely been a little bit more of how can you use it versus how can it, versus it's
Yeah,
not like it's cheat. We're not gonna touch it. Like, we know it's there, but we're not gonna get involved with it or anything. So there have been professors who are
accept
trying
it,
to integrate it into life, because I mean, it's common
right?
soon.
It's pretty much here.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
I think that's one thing that should be uh, brought up a little bit more so too is like you get what you pay for, and like these free versions of things. I don't know if you've ever been on other subscription models, or if you've ever done, like, if you do marketing on Instagram or you do marketing on other places. Like, I'll do it for CharmND, and
Mhm.
it's like a profound thing is that once you do start paying for certain things and you start paying for that subscription model or something, so you get those better answers. So you're like, I have to pay for better answers. How much do you have to pay to get to that level that puts you that far ahead? But I do it for Charm ND, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, I want to pay a certain amount of money for ads. But then I'm like, that's a lot of money. What's going to be the return on investment? But when you're not paying for it, you're not getting as much boost. You're not getting exposure. You're not getting more people to be able to see it to get to that level. And so it's a fine line of being like, nothing is really free in this world either. So you have to be prepared almost in a sense of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you pulled the trigger on paid ads for Charmendy?
Yeah, so I've done a few. I've done a few like on Instagram banner ads or things like that, so it'll just pop up. And I think I've found some positive investment back to it. But you look at the click rates, you look at who's actually checking out your page, you see all that sort of stuff. And you got to spend money to make money, I guess. That's just the way
Yeah.
it works sometimes, out of way. So, but to move on to that, shout out of the week. Do you have anybody you would like to shout out for this week that was positive or impactful for you?
Yeah. So my shout out of the week is for the organization I mentioned, Homeboy Industries. They are doing really cool work. So not a person, but because of all the work we've been doing in Frontlines in America with them, they work with getting formerly incarcerated and gang affiliated individuals out of that life and kind of work them through their program, which has a lot of stuff like tattoo removal, getting them to housing, job skills training, and getting them into good quality jobs so that they can, you know, re-enter society and
Yeah.
really get connected and find stability and build a life for themselves. And so we're going out there this week. We get to see all their operations. They've, you know, Father Greg and some of the homies out there have visited the White House and given a speech.
Some of
They've
the
done,
homies.
yeah, the homies, and they've done really cool things. So they're a big deal that I had only recently learned about last year. And so my shout out is to them and all the work that they're doing because we're going out there. So
I think Homeboy Industries just like the funniest name. Like, what's up, Homeboy?
yeah.
And all the homies. No, that's really cool. I'm really excited for you to be able to go do that. That's kind of special. Um, in that vein, I will say my shout out of the week is probably there's maybe a couple people that I could do, but I'm going to settle on my mentor right now, Austin Carswell. He's been a very good mentor, and he takes into account people and how they work more so than are you doing something that's like fulfilling you? Are you doing something that's like going to get you where you want to be? So it's
Mhm.
less so of just, hey, we need this number, and more so of like, how are you? How are you is like the first question instead of what is this or
Yeah,
something like that. And so I think work for the people. Maybe not work for the company, but work for the people.
company.
The
I
people
love
that'll
that.
make. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, all right. Now we move into in the news. Do you have a news article you'd like to share with the people?
Yes, I do. Okay, so I'm sure you've heard, Carter, and I'm sure everyone who is listening has heard the big news about
I know. I
Travis
already know.
Kelce
I already
and Taylor
know.
Swift. Yeah, yes. I had to bring it up. Her brother went to Notre Dame. It felt related, and it is huge news. She's supposed to be at the game today as well in the stands supporting Travis Kelce. So the Swifties are invested in the NFL now.
Are you a
But
Swiftie?
I'm actually an old Taylor Swift fan. Not as much her new stuff, but I love her old stuff. So, and I am really invested in this dating situation. I'm very
Yeah.
invested in it. Yes, I'm very
Do
invested.
you think it'll last? It
I don't
never
know,
does. It
but
never does for Taylor. Come on.
no, I know. But her next album, if they break up, her next album is going to be unbelievable. It is going to be legendary. And I
Burn down the NFL.
Yeah, yes. And so, not that I want them to break up because this is very cool, but I am excited for that next album.
All right, conspiracy theory. They're
Okay.
getting Taylor to date Travis Kelce to make more people around the world like notice all like the brain and head injuries, and then she's gonna sing a song about it, and then they're gonna do like a lot of stuff on it, and it's like this is how you get involved. This is the crossover we needed, where the NFL is kind of slow on it. I don't know.
Ooh. All
That just
right.
popped in my head.
All right. I did hear another conspiracy theory around this, which is so Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner um are going
Yeah,
through
they
a
broke
divorce
up.
right now. And
Yeah,
so Sophie Turner and Taylor Swift met for dinner, and
they're
then
like good friends. Yeah.
right after, right after, all of a sudden, this whole Travis Kelce thing breaks out and is all over the news. So some people have been speculating that it's staged and she's just trying to take some of the publicity off of that and onto her and this Travis Kelce story. So,
Because she's friends with Sophie Turner?
mhm.
Wow. I mean, some of the stuff, I guess there was a lot of, I didn't really keep up with the whole Sophie Turner, Joe Jonas thing, but apparently she wanted to, she felt like she lost, or she had kids and then lost a little bit of her youth and she wanted to like continue to keep living, or she wasn't touring while Joe was touring all the time. And I think that was just hard for her. I loved her in Game of Thrones, but I haven't seen her since then. So she kind of like fell off the map in terms of like seeing her in the news or like in movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I only
I
really knew her
mean,
from Game of Thrones. So,
right? That's the only place I knew her. And I mean, I cool, like that's a good friend move. But if you're having to get like shipped out of a popcorn container from a press box to go leave a football game, like that's like over the top for your friend. Like that's love to another level. Like, I mean, that's great friendom, but I don't
yeah.
could be happening.
The suit that Travis Kelce wore, I think it was post game. It might have been pre game, but post game too. He had this blue suit on. It was called the 1989 house set suit or something like that. And 1989 connects to
Mm-hmm.
her album.
Taylor.
So it was, there's definitely a lot of planning going on with this.
Apparently, he was seen leaving her New York apartment before today's game. So a little sleepover, little
Yeah.
something going on. I don't know. It is fun, but it is weird that she goes to the press box like the first game, like meeting the parents the first day. I guess as you get older, it's like, all right, you gotta just be all in. But
Yeah.
also, I'm kind of like, that was just out of nowhere. I don't know.
It feels out of nowhere. It feels out of nowhere, but I think she's
It's It's
maybe
honestly a conspiracy. Oh, sorry. What?
no, I was gonna say maybe it's the real thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, she met the mom like right away at the game. So
Yeah.
she's all in. But anyways, what were you saying?
Well, first off, yeah, maybe it is, right? Like, hey, love is love. Like, you gotta let it happen if it happens. Beautiful. At the same time, too, another conspiracy theory. It's a
Oh,
way because the NFL is tired of Mahomes winning all the time, so they need to have Taylor infiltrate the football team, ruin some relationships, so that another team can win it all.
oh my gosh. I wish the Vikings would do that. I'm a big Vikings fan. You know, being from Minnesota, I'm a big Vikings fan, but I don't know if this year is our year.
0-3. It's not. Or are you guys playing right now or playing today?
I actually think the game just finished up and we won. However,
Hey,
we are one
turning
and
it around.
three now.
You
We are
turning it
one and three.
around.
Yes. It's,
That's awesome.
yeah.
All right, my piece of news. It's maybe not as much of a good piece of news. You know, it's kind of a good piece of news. It's two things. First, the government didn't shut down, so I'm happy about that. It's just like crazy to see that we have to wait till the 11th hour, like Saturday night, like before an hour before the government's going to shut down. That just like infuriates me because I'm like, why can't people just figure some stuff out? Like I know not everybody agrees on some stuff, but like, hey, let's keep our people working at least. That's how you actually get to a solution. If no one's working and no one's getting paid, that's just going to cause more issues. So
Yes.
happy to see.
Agreed.
But at the same time, with the government still being open, this month is the mandate now that federal payments for student loans start again. So it's been stopped for 3 years. And I think that that's going to have a pretty massive impact on how people look at their taxes or how they spend their taxes or whether they're spending their money. Because now you have mandatory payments going back to wherever you got your student loans for. And that's gonna I think put a lot of pressure on a lot of people. We'll see how that gets figured out and what that looks like. But just like that's a landmark time to think because I mean I have student loans coming up in the next couple months that I got to start paying again, and it's a weird thing. It's like, hey, we got to do this, and you have to do it for great education, but a lot of people will go to a school and maybe not get the education that they needed to get to where they need to go. I think you and we did the right thing. Like we're going with purpose, and we're going to go find some things that we can build on. But it's gonna be very interesting how that turns out. I don't know if you have any thoughts there.
I do. I do. I think one, I mean, there's also I believe the SAVE plan that is either in place now or being put in place, kind of right alongside or soon after the student loan repayments start. That's to that has a lot. I know people can apply for it who have loans. It minimizes the amount that you pay each month without the interest keeping growing. So if you can only pay I think it caps it at 5% of your monthly salary, and anything above that you can't pay, it doesn't go away, but if you make that minimum payment, your interest doesn't keep growing. So it
Oh,
stops
wow.
some of that. It stops that interest, you're right, that predatory interest, that huge interest rate that can get out of control. So I think that will be helpful for people. However, there is also a limit on that. I believe it's only 15 months, 18 months. It's something like that. So it's to help
Yeah.
people get back on track. But unless you have a year to a year and a half trajectory to, greatly increase your salary,
It's still a lot.
it'll be a little bit of relief, but it won't be too much.
Yeah, it's crazy. And even the money that you're spending on a great institution, it's worth it. But it's like that's a lot. It's a lot of money that's going into the system or that people have maybe, but a lot of people are still living paycheck to paycheck, or like they don't have the ability to do that. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how things kind of play out there. But yeah,
Yeah. It's it's unfortunate that, when people are so young, they're told just going to college is the right thing to do. It's the best thing to do. And you might be too young to know exactly what you want to do, what you want to get into, what career is going to have the best return, right? Return on the loans that you take out to go there. Um, and then you're young and you have these huge payments. So it does get hard to build wealth But I think, I couldn't, while I do have some student loans from, this program that I'm taking, I couldn't, be more confident in when I get out, being very intentional with what I'm doing, how I'm setting myself up, and the ability to pay it back. No, it won't be fun, but I feel good with
Right.
the decisions that, we've made. I mean, I think the Notre Dame network alone is worth it.
I know
Notre Dame network
exactly.
is worth it. So,
I think it's not necessarily us. I think it's some people that have decided to go to places that don't have the backup or don't have like the ability of being as connected as we are. It's like some people can still go to a school, spend $100,000 and then not have that network or not have um, anything. It's more like, hey, we just wanted to get you in and out. We're special, honestly.
yes, Notre Dame is a special place. I mean, it opens doors in so many ways. It's worth it. There's any prospective students listening, it's so worth
Come to
it.
Notre Dame.
It's just
Yeah,
a special place. It's
this is
worth
just
it.
an ad campaign, honestly.
Yeah.
I swear, we're not. If we, hey, marketing department, if you want to sponsor my podcast, Brian Connolly, I know you sometimes listen. Hit me up. We need sponsorships on the podcast. So, um, but yeah, well, we will get started on some of like kind of the main questions. And